Yeah, I will start with my presentation ASAP. So basically, my presentation here is sustainable development goal. We have 17 goals and 169 targets, hundreds of targets that we need to cope with. Before that, I would like to start with a few questions. My first question: to make this world a better place? Is it really, keeping all the Israel and Palestine issue that's been going on? Okay, the crisis that North Korea is facing. One side, it is making the great advances in nuclear energy, and on the other hand, they are not having anything to eat. Food crisis. Okay, then on the other hand, China, call it a global threat or not on you. Okay, this is how you see or I see. Everybody has different perspective, but I think most of them are seeing it as a threat. Then we have terrorism, we have pandemic, and there are people as my previous participant, I'm forgetting his name, he talked about pandemic, right, where actually there is a vaccine, diplomacy was there, and I'm focusing on the same pandemic, whether it's a crisis or an opportunity for some countries. Is it really a crisis? Is it really a pandemic for them? Or was it really an opportunity to fulfill their needs? Okay, or some intents. And countries making profit on the deathbed of people. That's one of the worst things that one can do, but there are people, there are countries which is actually governing onto that. And according to the world's government, all the government came together, 16, 17 goals, okay? And they said, yes, we can achieve this, target. That in next 15 years. Next 15 years, okay, 6 years has already gone from 2015, and now we have 9 more years from now, okay? So let's see what we can do. We all know what is SDG. Till now, we all have, which is a plan for action for peace, people, a planet, prosperity, and partnership, okay? Where it incorporates economical and social political development for all, with its 17 goals and 169 targets. Over. That's too much. Sustainable to talk about today, okay? More vision, extended boundaries, it houses sustained environment for all. So what's our vision? This is our vision, the 17 goals over there on the screen. These 17 goals need to. But before that, so my first question, to make the world a better place. Of course, I am a very optimist person, and I see opportunity in every adversity. Okay, so MDGs, what was MDGs? That was Millennium Development Goals. That was before the Sustainable Development Goals. Our Millennium Development Goal, I'm just giving an example here, that our target was to de-elevate the global poverty level to 18% by 2015 from 36% in 1990. So in 1990, we have 36% of global poverty, which we targeted to de-elevate to 18%. Did we hit this target? Of course not. Why we did not? Because we actually did better. We reduced the global poverty to 12% in 2015. Okay, that's great. But how did we do that? That was, you can call basically a luck, or basically two countries, those were fighting to coming out of the shell of a developing country towards a developed country. Okay, so it was due to the economic growth of countries like India and China. Okay, so why did this happen? This whole MDG, where the poverty elevation program has been ran in both the countries, and they all fought to get out of the economic misery that they were facing. Okay, so this was basically due to the economic growth. I want everyone's attention to bring in here on the economic growth. Why? Because our MDGs showed a greater number. Why? Because of two countries which actually showed a great growth in economic level. And that's why I'm here to criticize SDGs. And I'm not going very negative here, but yes, a constructive criticism should always be appreciated, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. According to me, SDGs are over ambitious. Why over ambitious? Because according to me, in my opinion, I don't think that economic prosperity just economic prosperity leads to achieve our sustainable development goals. Okay. And somewhere all the countries are doing the same thing. One of the best example that I would like to quote in here is, we are talking about SDGs, all the countries are participating in it. But what happened when it came to making the vaccines? Okay. The vaccines are not properly distributed to all those who are in need. United States has kept an abundance of vaccine to it, and it was not ready to share it with everyone, even though most of or all the United Nations citizens were vaccinated with the vaccines. Are we really talking about SDGs here? If we are talking about SDGs here, then we need to concentrate that what actually happened when we are in the midst of completing our SDG, a target of 15 years, but what United States did. And there's not just one example. I'm not targeting any one country, but I'm targeting all those elites who actually dominate the other developing or the underperforming countries, okay, that actually needs help. It is a little complicated. It is having 17 goals, 169 targets, and hundreds of indicators. Now, so basically, there is social progress over economic growth. And I want to bring everyone's attention here on 3 points that Anushka also discussed earlier. What do we need as a human beings? Basic human needs that we all need: food, shelter, right, and clothing. These are the basic needs. I want to bring everyone's attention on basic amenities that's needed. Like right now, I'm sitting in a village. Right now, I'm sitting in India, one of the villages, where I'm facing the electricity issue. You can see that. And this village comes under the municipality. Okay. So I'm not saying that electricity cannot, be gone anywhere in the world. Of course it can be. But I am actually a native of this place. And we face, like, out of 24 hours, we hardly have 4 to 6 hours of electricity in this village. Second, I sorry if I'm hurting someone's feelings, or it may seem a little demeaning to others, but right now the house in which I'm sitting, okay, this is my ancestral house, and here we still not have any toilets. I always face problems if I have to go to to answer the nature call. I have to go to either some of my relatives' house or somewhere else. So it's my house. I live in city, in a beautiful city. But when it comes to my native place, these are the problems that I'm facing. Okay. Being a citizen of India, I should be getting all the facilities that they are providing. And yes, we all are getting, but the distribution is not properly. It is lacking somewhere. And it's, if you'll count me one, suppose we are 5 panelists here. Out of 5, if one is facing this issue, then think about the number in India that we have. And if you'll calculate, people are actually still facing the issue of hygiene and health. So my concern here with all these slides I have mentioned in here is that we need to concentrate on what we can do. Then to what the United Nations or the developed countries will do. I'm so sorry, but I want to raise a question. Why the developed country should decide for us, especially the ones who's sitting there in the United Nations Security Council, those 5 countries, why they should decide our fate, why they should decide our future. And that's my whole center of the presentation, is instead of focusing anywhere else. Yes, I'm happy with the SDG, okay, that we all came together for this, okay, and this should be a common goal to all. But how can we achieve it? The start should be from us. The start should be from me. I'm going to take a step that is going to forfeit the problem of hygiene that I'm facing in my home, at my home. I'm going to take a step. I know government's policy is there, but sometimes what happens, you need to go and fetch it from them instead of just waiting that they'll send you a flying board and you'll get all the facilities that's been provided by them. No, that's practically not possible. So we as a youth, we as a people of every country, for our country, whether it's Japan, whether it's China, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's India, Bangladesh, any Asian, North American, South American, European countries. My message to all is to start working from your own house. Start working. The first step should be taken by us only. We should start the initiative by focusing on the basic amenities that we are actually not being provided with. We are talking about, we are here, foundation of well-being. I was talking about access to basic knowledge that should be given to all. Access of information, communication, health and wellness, ecosystem, sustainability, opportunities should also be provided to all. Now, and on the basis of this social progress, I want to talk about, I mentioned earlier that economic prosperity will not take us to where we want to reach by 2030. But yes, the social progress can do that. How? I will give you a few examples here. Like we have some best performing countries in terms of SDGs. They have scored 88 out of 100. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's commendable. But we have some poor performing African countries who gets 33 out of 100. Okay, so what is the global average that we are talking about here? The global average stands for 61. Like every country is living a life of a person who's living in Cuba or Kazakhstan. And you all know the condition, the pathetic situation that's been there in Cuba or Kazakhstan. Do we deserve that? We don't, because we all are endowed with the equal resources and opportunity on this planet Earth. That's why we call it Mother Earth. Now, Russia, China, India, with a huge GDP. I'm trying to bring the attention that economy is not everything. Economic growth is not going to help us to achieve our SDGs, but a social progress can. Like Russia, China, and India, they have huge GDP, trillions of GDP. But where is the social progress? I myself as an Indian, and I feel bad when I see that there is social progress which is lacking, which is actually de-elevating in our country. No matter why, no matter what, but it is de-elevating. There are social problems that Russia is facing. There are social problems that China is facing. From 2 to 3 child policy, what is happening with China? Look at them. Socially, they have a lot of problems. Do you think that a person who has lived 40 years with one child, now that these 4 generations, in 40 years, these 4 generations would ever, go for 2 or 3 child? Seriously, is it possible practically? Because they have developed a way of living. How can China think that it is going to be possible? Yeah, they'll force. They have the only option they can force, and even for everything, right? But when we'll talk Costa Rica, Rwanda, and New Zealand, Costa Rica and Rwanda, they are very poor countries in terms of, but when we'll talk about New Zealand, it is a rich country. But every rich or poor country, doesn't matter. Social progress doesn't categorize itself. It just says that whether you have money or not, countries like Costa Rica, Rwanda, and New Zealand, they are actually doing good. They do have small GDPs, but they're great in so good. So what we need to focus on, not on economic achievements, but on social problems, social evils that needs to be eradicated out. Okay, well, what's the solution? Solution in here, and like we have global goals with business or flooding economic growth. Like basically, I want to say the same thing, that business or any amazing economic model will help us. No, it will not. But we have to do things differently. Okay, we can't go to the space with few elites leaving common men behind. Okay, right? This is also one of the examples that I would like to give about India. We have mission like Udan, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, means every common man can fly. For that, we are developing small one-engined planes which can travel from small cities, one city to another city with little payload. Means a person who's wearing slippers can sit in the plane. This is what a mission that. So basically, I was about to end my presentation here that we need to prioritize social progress, okay? And we should reject the business model, rejecting business model, and we should actually understand, we should actually know that what Japan needs, what Vietnam needs, what other country needs, and what India needs. We should know our needs first, that what kind of world do we want? What do we want? And that's what we should demand. We should not be, copying others' ideas and paste it here. But what we should do, that we should actually look into the problem. And one more thing I want to mention here as a solution. We, as a youth, we all are youth here, and I would like to bring attention, everyone's attention on this, that when we see a problem, okay, we just try to jump on solution. Like right now, I'll ask you a question and you will be having, this curiosity of answering. But wait, that's not how the world works. That's not how the sustainability works. First, listen to the question carefully. First, look at the problems carefully. Understand the problem. And then seek the solution. This is how it's made. Instead of jumping onto the solution, try to focus on the problem. We say that to win a war, to conquer a war, we actually need to understand our enemy first, right? So likewise, every problem is a small enemy to us. We just need to look at it differently and understand that how can we solve it. Instead of jumping on the solution, try to understand the problem. This is how I think the problems should be tackled, and we can achieve the kind of world we want to live in. One more slide I'm left with. A question for all. What kind of world do you want? Like, I'm really interested from all the panelists to know that what kind of world do you really want to live in? Someone is 20, we all are almost in our 20s here. Okay. And this is a very, amazing age to live on. So we must have a dream of living in a dream country. So what kind of world do you really want? Please answer. Thank you.
To answer the question, well, I think it's common for everybody. I don't think anybody in this room wants to live in somewhere where there's conflict or where there is, problems. So I think everyone has the same goal. It's to really just improve their lives and their well-being. So yeah, that's my take on that. I think everybody, well, if everybody is aiming for the same goal, then why not work on that? So yeah, I do get the point of that part of the presentation as well. So.
Okay, that was interesting. Thank you.
I just want to say there are lots of problems, but we have to overcome it. That every international community aims to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men, including for persons with disabilities, and equal pay for work for equal value. So how can we reduce inequality within all among countries by empowering and promoting the social, economic, and political inclusion of all, including persons with disabilities? So that's the question. How can we reduce it?
First, I would like to ask, what is equality? Equality, we see equality that men and women should stand together equally with equal opportunities, right? But for me, that's not the answer. Equality means, first, let's get out of this idea that men and women are different. God made us in pair, men and women. They both were hands of together. We don't have two, but we have two pair of hands, right? We born together. He made us together so that we can combine and extend our nature extend our species. If nature has made us one, who the heck are we to divide us into two parts and categorize, okay, this is man, this is woman? Seriously, this is how we think. This is the notion, this is the dogma that one needs to get out of. I'm blessed with 3 sisters. 3. Well, welcome to India. We are 5. We are 5 siblings. Okay. So I'm blessed with 3 sisters. And I'm so grateful that I'm blessed with 3 sisters, that I was able things, what kind of problems she faces. Okay. So for me, for myself, one thing that I have contained in myself is that equality means not to bring women and men on the same platform, because they already are. There are people who's making an issue out of it for their political agenda or for their own intentions or benefits. Please don't do that. First. Second, when we are talking about the social equality, yeah, that is actually a problem that actually needs to be addressed. And when we are talking about the men and women together, they make a pair and they make one. They're not different. So get out of this notion, see the world in this way, and you will automatically be able to understand how equal we are. Thank you.
Good evening, Isis. So
Good evening, Almonte.
I want to respectfully disagree that men and women are already equal. Just looking into our statistics, women already face lower education levels. At the same time, fewer women are finding jobs, and especially during the pandemic, women are actually being more affected by it. So I believe that it is not just some sort of political agenda. Gender equality is not a political agenda. It is actually something that should have been solved earlier. It's a fundamental human right that I think everyone should be able to enjoy, especially in terms of our social development, in our education, and yes, our opportunities.
Exactly. I would say I'm glad that you have mentioned this point. But yes, women today are facing a lot of problems. They are exploited, they are dominated. Yes, I agree with that. And that's the notion and the dogma I talked about here. Because that is that's been feeded in our mind, that they are different. I just want to end that. That's what I thought. And that's what I think. And I will, spread all over. When it comes to political agenda, I think I'm hoping Almonte must have heard what I said. And when it comes to political agenda, I would bring your attention onto DUSU, Delhi University, JNU, and all these student union selection. And you yourself brought this part of youth in here, right? So in DUSU's election, that Delhi University's election, JNU's election, these are one of the top universities of India, okay, that is situated in Delhi. And there are people, especially girls and boys, they have made segregated themselves, a group calling themselves either a feminist. Okay, why are they developing? And they are trying to make it an issue so that they can win the election. So this is something that's been actually budding out in here, okay, that you need to address upon. And I did not deny with any of the social evils that's been faced by a woman. As I told you that I'm having 3 sisters, I have seen what kind of inequalities do they face. But for that also, just to tackle that problem, I just want to first eradicate the of people that they are not unequal, they are complete together. First, they need to understand this. Then only you'll be able to see with the equal glass to any other female out there.
Okay. So yes, I agree that we must remove the distinction between men and women and help achieve equality in the society. But I also believe in their perspective. For example, as you said, there was a female-led group towards let's say of what you said in a college. Um, I think that's
Yeah.
because in the past decades or even most of history. When women try to live in a world of like men, usually they are usually pushed down or like forgotten. So I believe that by creating like these sorts of like this sort of political party, these feminism, they actually help raise the like awareness about women's rights, and they want to speak out, because when they're not speaking out, because you say yes, you want to remove the distinction, but there are a lot of people in the world who still see that distinction between men and women. So it is really up. So women just I believe that women really just want to make their voices heard and help remove that distinction. We can't remove the distinction by doing nothing. I think that's why these women are rising up.
Yes, I agree with you. The social problems that they have been facing, and these are the reason that today they have started making or building a group to raise their voices. I'm not denying that. I'm just trying to say that they are no one but the youth itself. And it's my request and message to all these youth, whether they are feminist or not, or whether they are pseudo-feminist. Okay, it is my message to see for women to see men equally, and for men to see women equally. They are your counterparts. They are no different. That's what I'm trying to say here.